Hi everyone. Now, as you probably realise, I do get lots of requests, and I do ask. I do like to get requests for flies. So if there's a fly out there you like seeing tying, being tied, sorry, let me know. If I've got the materials, I'll certainly tie it. Now, the request I was sent, was actually it was a gentleman who asked me if I could tie a fly called a Bredbo fly. Now, when you do a search online, because the first thing I do is obviously search for it, and first thing that came up was the name of a small town in Australia. Now, the pattern was originally tied by the settlers in Australia in the late 1800s, and it was to represent a small hopper, grasshopper type fly. So it was interesting. So basically things like that is something different, and that's what makes for a obviously a better video and more info. But what I'll do is I'll put a link to that so you can do a wee bit of reading. Now, I'm going to tie it on this hook here. This is just a size 12. This one here, this is the full and mill. It's the competition one. As I say, size 12. It's just a kind of standard hook. The wire is a wee bit is quite strong. Now, I would see this fly tied in many ways. It's like this style of fly could easily be sort of changed to suit whatever fly you can tie, or tie it bigger to suit the hoppers, obviously. And the original, it was tied in a size 12. Now, thread I'm going to be using a yellow thread. It does say use a black thread, but when you're doing a yellow body, it basically darkens the body with the black thread. So I'm going to use the yellow thread. Now, basically get your thread onto the hook. The rib of the fly is a fine or a small gold wire. So I'm going to tie that in the way down. So I'm casting on the side, the length of the body. So work my way down to the back of the hook. Just there. Now the body is floss. Now, there's a couple of flosses you could use. I still like using some of the older flies. Like this is a marabou floss, Beers of Silk floss, which I like. You could use a rayon floss. You could use a lot of flosses. But I'm going to use that, but it's too thick. So what you do is just reduce it, just twist it, and you'll see how it comes apart. And you can reduce it down to basically the size of the fly you want to tie. And even this, as I think that's it. Halved. I can take some more out and reduce it a wee bit more if you want a finer body. It's quite easy to do. And then we can add it on. And just work our way up with the thread, tidying things up. Now, this fly has just a throat. It doesn't have a wound hackle at the front. So we're going to take it a wee bit closer to the eye. I tied my hook on right, hold on a sec. There you go. Just making sure it's in the hook right, in the vise right. And then we bring our floss up. You can see how easily it sits, the floss. Now, it's quite a thin body, so I'm going to stick to that all the way up. Let's catch it in 2 or 3 turns. Trim away. I mean, the old marabou silks are really easy to get a nice flat body. Now, that first turn of the rib is actually on the hook. That stops any floss getting pulled back. And you round in 5 or 6 turns or so. Straight up with the last turn, put a 90-degree bend into the wire. And basically secure it in. Bend away. Now, I asked for a black head. Now, I'm going to change the thread over to this uni, obviously 8/0, and I'm just going to use the black thread. It's just the same. Just going to catch this and then wind up, tying the throat, head length. Trim away your yellow thread and red as well as the waist piece of the black. That's fine. Now, on a Partridge hackle is or Partridge Fibres. Now, what I'm going to be using here, but this is the skin. This is a Chinese partridge I've got here. But on the wing, you have these covert feathers with a nice matte fibre on one side. I'm going to be using them for the throat. So there they are. So I'm taking away the fluff. They're only on the one side here, so say if you're using up the nice wee feathers, when you're only using the throat, you could easily use these up. You see the lovely marked fibres. If you bring them 90 degrees for the stem, tail them away, and then they're ready to tie in. Now, you're looking to the point of the hook really, between the point and the barb. Pinch and loop underneath for a couple of turns. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to slightly spread them. Here's my nail. Just that's fine. And then trim away. Just be careful with your thread. Make sure there's wax on your thread. Tidy up. Now to represent the legs of the hopper, we've got golden pheasant tippet. So basically want a small feather. I'm going to pull back the base of the waist at the bottom of the feather. Just line up the ends. Now it tells you to use 3 to 4. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the right and left side. So bring out the fibres, 3 to 4 fibres. There. And then this is just a fine pair of scissors. I'm going to just cut a V into it. And there we are. So we've got a right and a left, and we can use that to help hold them. And at the same time we can actually line them up. So if they're slightly off, one way is basically tips. If they're slightly out, you can pull it. Now these just come to the back of the hook and on the side of the hook. So just come up, just keep them nice and tight beside the shank, sorry. Couple of turns, and then just see how they're going to sit. That looks fine. Trim away the waist. And watch your thread, tidy up. I keep saying tidy up, but that makes it much easier to tie things on if you've got a tidy base of thread down or wax thread. Now for the wing, it's hen pheasant, so you need a right and a left. This is from the wing. Now on the original fly, the wing is actually tied. If you imagine, normally you would tie the wing on so the natural curve of the feather would be like this. But in this fly, the wing is tied upside down so that it gets a nice taper towards the back. So that's what you're looking for. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just marrying the fibres and bringing them out to suit. Then I'm going to tear it away when I'm happy. Do the same on the other side. So just bring it out, enough fibre, and then what I'm going to do here, encourage them to be, I don't want it too much of a taper, I want it to be close. If you bring it down like this and then marry them back together, you'll get the taper that you're looking for. It would help anyway. Just checking this. I mean, it pays for you to take your time. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you're showing someone, you want to try and get as close as you can. Now, just I'm making sure these are married together. So we've got your side. I usually just sit it on my finger. I've got my side, just lay it on the top. Bring them together at both ends. Just check, so it tapers towards the back. At this point you can still move them around, you can get them to sit the way you want. I'm just bringing my fingers through. When you pinch and loop this on the top. So it is an unusual fly. Now you want to pinch it, get your wing right on the top of the shank. You want to pinch the thread, bring it through your fingers, and keep it nice and tight. I broke one fibre there, I'll show you what I did there. A couple of turns to secure, you can see how there's one fibre there that's broke. When I brought it through, I didn't want to go with the rest of the wing, so sometimes it breaks. Just a wee quick look. Now I don't tie many flies like this, so I'm just tying it the way I see it on the internet. You'll see that when click on the link, which I'll leave below the video, trim away. I usually take the thread to the eye, make sure I wax my thread as well, and then we just take our time bringing the thread up, cutting into these cut ends, make a nice head. See what it's like. That's fine. And then it's just a matter of wet finish. 1, 2, 3. Just pull your thread up, tighten up, trim your thread away, and there we go. So you can see these Tippet fibres. I'm just going to pull them out a wee bit. Very paddle-like. I mean, it'd be good wee Carixa fly this as well, because of the wee fibres like that, and the colour suits. So it does. A small Carixa, especially the size anyway. As I say, it's an old pattern. Just bring my fingers through here to marry back the fibres just to see. What I'm wiping away here is the wax, just the excess wax. You'll get a wee build up of wax when you pull the wet finish. And then it's just a matter of then varnishing the head. And there we are. Just take your time. Probably do a couple of coats. And there we go. And that's, as I call it, the Bredbo fly. Nice wee pattern. Nice dressing. Anyway, thanks for watching again, and until next time.